I'm going to go roam around. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Take care.
Well, this was art.
But then blackfish was
Well, we had a little disagreement there, and then several people agreed that it was good to cross it. So,
well, it depends entirely upon what you want to say with it. If you want to say something negative about the war, then you have to put something angry.
yeah.
But if you want to look at the beautiful quilt,
Yeah, I sewed the stars.
We are leaving. We are going
Okay,
home.
okay.
Thank you
I
for
hope
showing
to
me.
catch up with you still there.
Let's exchange emails.
If not, then email.
That's their daughter, Jessica.
Where do you live in New York?
For the pacifist show, I decided to make a quilt, and I took fabrics in various camouflage patterns from various wars and guerrilla engagements, and made them into a quilt. This is the pattern of the uniforms in the Vietnam War, and this is Desert Storm. This digital fabric is what uniforms are made out of nowadays, and then some of these other ones reminded me of the uniforms worn by African mercenaries and various other soldiers.
It's pierced star quilt.
A pierced star is a traditional American quilt pattern that's used usually in calicos and other fabric. This is one of the paintings in the Quadrangle series, and it's a series I've been working on for a couple of years, where I take strips of canvas, sometimes they're torn, sometimes they're cut, and I arrange them, I guess, kind of in a quilt way because they're four-sided. And I'm experimenting with how they pop out from the wall and how the patterns can overlap. Often you can see the white behind form clear shapes, which become part of the piece also.
Are they glued or stapled? Or
well, I sew all the pieces of the raw canvas, and then I gesso it, and then I paint it. But everything is hand sewn together. And because we installed new lights in the gallery, we have a lot of shadows that work behind the piece also, which become kind of interesting. They form yet another pattern there.
Yeah.
This piece I call Counterpane. It's part of a series then that I began working on traditional stretched canvas again, but I feel that these relate also to the quadrangle pieces in the way I form the composition and how I separate little clusters of focus. This little section might refer to part of a quilt, for instance, some of these little areas of pattern. And then overall, again, they seem to have the effect of an aerial view also. So they have different elements going on. This area here? Well, that area kind of refers to this area. This may be a piece that broke off and twisted from up there. So I have also that possible element of action or something, some kind of movement within the pieces themselves. This is another of the Quadrangle series. It's actually the 7th and most recent piece I made. And in this one, I'm clearly referring more directly to quilts by dividing up the composition into these sections. And very common division in traditional quilts would be into squares. And each of these I composed a little differently with the pieces of canvas and then sewed them together. And for the painting, I referred back to a lot of the colors used in Amish quilts because they have beautiful, dark, rich colors. We used to live near Lancaster County, and so we would go out and look at the Amish culture. And it was always startling to see bright colors against very dark colors. And so here I'm using some of those greens, blues, and purples, and reds that we used to see.
So it's sculptural the way they fold in and out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fabric tends to do that. This counterpane painting I worked on at the same time as the one we looked at over there with the yellow and red sections.
There she is.
And I had them on opposite sides of my studio, and this one I painted with black gesso first as an underpainting, and that one the traditional white gesso. And as I started to compose this one, I used white lines to break up the space, and I used black ones on the other. And then I kind of worked on them alternately back and forth, but I felt they had a conversation. This one was more night, and that one was more day because of the lighter colors, and this one was more sky or space, and that one was more earth. Because
Looks like your largest painting here.
Pardon me?
Your largest painting on the...
These are all the same size.
Oh.
These three counterpane
Looks
paintings. They're all 60 inches by 52. But I felt that this one continued to have kind of a feeling of being up above looking down, or having kind of a vortex or something. And little areas have these patterned grids, which I also have in the other painting there, and the third one too. And those refer to the brush marks or sections of a quilt too, I think. I'm still going back to that quilt reference. Okay, this quadrangle piece I made for the Under the Influence group show that we had at Blackfish in January, last January. And my influence for this was one of the G's Bend quilters, Mary Lee Bendolph. And I really admired a picture of one of her quilts where she had a lot of strong black sections coming in and gray. And so I wanted to kind of emulate that, some of those ideas. And the red flows through and connects the pieces, but the white also is there and interacts with the wall. And of course the big black sections refer to the frame. And so they have several different little patterns going on there. And I feel that this piece relates quite directly to the most recent work I made, which is this counterpane, the third in the counterpane series. I feel here I've got the white curving sections that refer back to that, and the red comes through like veins, and of course the black is all there too. And some of the big shapes, like this one here, refer back to this large section where you can see a lot of the space coming through from the white wall. And then there's an element going into that section, similar to this kind of doorway-like form here.
It's almost that area over there, which is almost like an by itself, that round.
This area here?
Yeah.
This was something I did first on a drawing, and I kind of like that shape. It's sort of like a human heart. But also, it was just an interesting kind of pattern to put in some of those segmented areas and then have this surrounded as a shadow, which is what I had on that original drawing. And so I was just kind of bringing that back up and using it.
Drawings, so you did some drawings first?
I don't always do anything quite that directly related, but in this case, and the little piece that's in the window, which is on two wood panels, I had done some drawings after my last show that I then wanted to develop a little further. Okay. Some of these patterns I felt in this one I wanted to develop into a little bit more of a narrative, and so I have some sections here that maybe feel a little like train tracks or things that move around, a ladder. And this refers back again to my interest in quilts that I've been showing in all of these pieces, where there's often a narrative going on, like Jacob's Ladder or Texas Star. There might be a geographic reference, and there might be a reference to a storyline also in the quilt. And some of the parts of it reflect that.
Go Blazers.
Okay. I've had enough now.
Good enough?
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think of your parents' show?
I think it's spectacular. It's really beautiful. I'm really glad I came.
So it's a little more peaceful than New York, isn't it?
Yes, right now it is, yes.
So you're saying, is this your, one of your pieces?
I was saying these flowers from Bob are as beautiful as anything here.
Well, thank you guys.